Hi and good morning. Welcome to Men Are So Smart, live on location today from Folsom, California. I'm Lou Gallagher.
And Corvette.ronnie.
You know, Ronnie, on the way in, I couldn't help but think to myself, I'm never over here on this Highway 50 corridor. I mean, never. It's been 20 years plus since I drove past the drive-ins, you know, over there by Sunrise.
Yeah.
And the one thing I gotta say, Folsom is so beautiful everywhere you go.
It's gotten gigantic also. My in-laws were out here. We took them out to dinner last week, and they just cannot get over how much it's grown. There's new housing everywhere. It really is. It's a beautiful little city.
And it kind of harkens back to the time when the band, our band, the Traveling Atomic Prunes, used to get together out off of Prairie City Road. And there was nothing there at that time.
It's a strip mall now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, a big one.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, big strip mall.
And the ladies in Folsom, wow. Not to mention,
a lot of soccer moms.
In the same sentence, the roads are great too.
The roads are very well repaired.
Excellent condition. All right, so today we are live from Cars and Coffee in Folsom. And if you listen to the radio program, you probably heard me mention them last weekend on the show. And they invited us to come out and film today, so here we are. And no better topic to do live from out here at this car show than insider tips on what to look for at classic car shows. Now, Ronnie and I are car guys, as you may or may not know. Just to the camera's left, there is Ronnie's car, and it's a red Corvette. It looks beautiful. We'll try to get it in the shop before we cut the segment loose. So we've actually judged many a car show.
Yes.
And although we may go about it in separate ways, I think that we still have some of the same concepts in mind. We like to break it down for you. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to break down a car show, what to look for. For instance, the best piece of advice we can give you right off the top is separate the good from the great. Bodywork is a dead giveaway when telling a good restoration from a great one. How do the doors and fenders fit together? Look to see if the seams in the hood and the trunk are straight. Did the owner do a good job of taking their car apart and putting it back together? Paint jobs are another obvious distinction. Are there any drips or any orange peel texture? Oh, I hate that.
Oh, that's the worst.
A good paint job should reflect like a mirror. And let's not forget, the underside of a car is another giveaway. Was anything done down below, or is it pitted and full of dings?
Absolutely. And then, is it expensive? It's not always easy to judge the value of a car simply by looking at it. If you encounter a vehicle you've never heard of, like say a 1936 Auburn, you can be sure it's worth some serious cash. If you see a super sport model or anything with an SS on it, that's probably worth more. Usually in Chevrolet, it means at least a bigger engine and a different transmission, and usually a lot more horsepower.
To be sure.
Yep. And muscle cars are all the rage. If you were to look around right now, you'd back me up on that. Camaros, T-Birds. There's a beautiful Plymouth GTX parked over next to me. Big engines. In fact, that one's got a 440. Those are, boy, if you're going to sell a car, those are exactly what people are looking for right now.
Yeah. Well, impressive cars aren't always finished. Be prepared to see really a wide variety of cars. A big misconception is that car shows are filled with perfect vehicles, and often there are classes at car shows for the unfinished car or those under construction. You know, people will see these cars on TV that are worth like hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it doesn't have to be worth that to be in a car show.
You know, and just in coming out here for the last 3 years, you see cars in various stages of repair, and every year
getting closer.
Oh, they got the interior done this year. Oh, now they got the paint done this year. So there are a lot of works in progress. Restoring cars is a very, very expensive hobby, and not a lot of people can just go out and write a blank check and say, hey, just, you know, oh, here's my checkbook, take what you need.
Yeah. Well, you know, as Ron says, we look around, we have looks like a 55 Chevy across from us, a black and white two-tone, beautiful vehicle. You know, the people that put the time and effort into these cars do it because of their passion. And in terms of judging a car show, sometimes I think to myself, well, you know what? You can see, I mean, this car just emits passion. You can tell that the person is so committed to making this a beautiful car for generations to come. And you know, that leads me to another subject. I hit about this on the radio show earlier today. When you sell your car, you know, they say that the best 2 days in a guy's life is when he buys and sells his boat. Well, you know, I don't think a classic car really falls into that category. And here's what I'm getting at. As we acquire years, getting older, we have different bills that come upon us that we may not necessarily be prepared for. For instance, medical bills. And if that's the case and you have to sell this classic car, I ask on a personal note, just try to make sure of the people that are trying to buy that car, that it's going to go to a person and be in the right hands.
If they're going to give it to their 16-year-old kid, take $1,000 less and go to the next buyer.
Yeah, you know, that's really what the passion for classic cars is all about. It's restoring these vehicles for generations to come. And I can't help but think, with as quickly as technology changes and electric cars are on our horizon, you know, what's going to happen to all of these cars? There may come a day when we don't have fuel to run the cars.
Yeah, they'll just be in museums somewhere, or they'll be made into new Teslas.
Yeah, but this is really all about passion. And the really cool thing about the passion is it's a community of people who love the same thing. And so everyone is always friendly. Everyone wants to tell you as much about their car as you would want to know.
Maybe more than you want to know.
Sometimes I can think of a few of those people. But in any case, you know, you hear the backstories to some of these remods, and you think to yourself, wow, man, I can't believe. It's like when you read these stories about barn finds, Ronnie.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah. We were at a car show last night out at Thunder Valley, and there was a guy that had a 36 Cadillac that was in a barn.
Oh, wow.
And it was very impressive. I mean, it was nowhere near done, but he had stuck a late model LS Chevy motor in it, and so it was a fine running car, but still needed bodywork, paint, interior. So it had still had some rough spots, but it was good to go. It was definitely a good start.
One last thing I wanted to mention here about when you're visiting a classic car show and what to look for. Original versus resto mod. What is that all about? There are two schools of thought. Everything must be original, like it came off the line, or it's been modified. If an owner is going for original, everything should be true to that era. Now, I gotta toss out, what about radio?
Yeah, well, and even what about safety features like putting disc brakes on, you know, a modern braking system on an early car.
Yeah, and you know what else? Don't be surprised if you're looking at a 56 Ford half-ton pickup truck, and when the hood is lifted, there's a small block Chevy 350 in it.
Right.
Crate motors are all the rage right now.
Yep.
And really, it's out of necessity, Ronnie. It's because these parts just are no longer available, or if they are, they're at such an enormously high price.
Yep.
It's just not affordable to your typical remod.
Well, and that's part of the fun of the show also, is seeing, oh wow, look what this guy's done. He has stuck a small block Chevy in a 53 Ford truck. You know, there are some very creative people, and that's the best part of it for me.
Well, you know, it also kind of goes back to that thing about bands and whether all the original members, you know what, when they pass away, they either end the band or they replace the person, and
sometimes they make it better.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
the same thing applies here. Yeah. And then also one thing to keep in mind is trailer queens versus daily drivers.
Yep.
Now, trailer queens, you're not typically going to see them at a car show like this, Cars and Coffee here in Folsom.
No.
But those are more the Sacramento Autorama, or the good guys, or Autorama, the good guys in Pleasanton.
Yep.
You're going to see some of those there. But when you're coming down to your local mall or wherever the car show is being held, you're going to see daily drivers. And that's really that's the cool thing about it,
Yep.
you know.
In fact, a lot of the car shows you go to, they'll actually give an award away to the person who drove the furthest to be in the show, which is actually kind of neat to to see how far these cars. And I have a buddy that just drove his '69 Dodge Dart up to a car show in Reading.
Holy cow!
So, a couple of his buddies trailered their cars, but he drove his up there and made it back, no problem.
Well, one last thing I just got to mention in this. I think I know that guy in that pickup truck, Ronnie.
That's a nice one.
One thing when you're restoring a car like this, let's say a 64.5 Mustang, typically that car came with a 170 or a 200 motor in it. If you want to have any hope at all and you're restoring the car to resell, don't put a 6-cylinder in it.
Or if you plan to take it to Reno,
yeah,
you're going to be hard pressed getting up the hill.
I got the 225 slant 6 in my Plymouth Fury.
So stick a little V8 in it. They probably get better gas mileage anyway. And they're more desirable and they're easier to sell. But you know what? I ran into a very nice example of a 66 Mustang. Lady was trying to sell 6-cylinder with a 3-speed manual transmission.
I remember those.
You know what? It's great for around town. It's a nice little grocery getter, but we're looking for things that we can drive up to Reno and enjoy up there at Hot August nights.
Yeah.
So didn't fit our bill.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed our tutorial, if you will, on what to look for when you're going to a car show. Remember, we don't need to be that critical.
No.
Remember that in judging a classic car show, that you got to also add in for the passion that the person might have. And as Ronnie said, how far they came to be at the car show. Fix it. Uh-oh. In any case, thank you so much for watching Men Are So Smart live from Cars and Coffee in Folsom, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.